Yes, indeed, Jellybean is here. As you know, AT&T just released the Jellybean update 2 days ago. However, I found out about it yesterday and did the update. However, they didn't make it available as an over-the-air update. I had to actually go in through keys and downloaded it. So I've downloaded it. I've had it for about 24 hours now. Got to mess around and play with it, and I want to come back and talk to you guys and show you some of the things that I've observed so far. All right, so the first thing I noticed is that when you do your download, your apps are automatically optimized. You get a message right on your screen saying that apps are being optimized, and it'll list however many apps that you have, and it'll go through the process of optimizing them. That's actually part of the Jelly Bean update, so there's nothing special that you have to do to receive it. All right, the next thing I noticed is that, like everybody's talked about before, swiping back and forth between screens, there's no problem. It's fluid. It works. I got a few empty screens there, but as you see, it just swiping back and forth. It works beautifully. All right, another thing that I noticed moving on along here is that the folders have changed. Before you used to have an actual folder icon with the app icons in them. Well, now that's changed. If you notice here at the bottom, right here, I've got some App Store stuff in there. You notice that, like, if you make a folder, the first three icons that you have will be kind of stacked together on top of a disk, as opposed to having that folder that you had before. And then also, when you open the folder, let me get my finger here right, you notice that apps kind of just spill out onto the page. Now, that one wasn't really a good example. So here, okay, and they'll just sort of spill out there on the screen. Now that's a really nice feature, and then when you're done with them, they go back up. Right, and then they go right back up. It's a really nice feature. It looks cleaner and a little sharper than the way it did previously. All right, next is your drop-down menu. Now there have been some quite a few changes here. In your drop-down menu, you'll notice, if you scroll all the way to the right, that the new feature called driving mode has been added. So you can actually use that in driving mode. As you may or may not know, what happens is that if you get a phone call, the phone will actually tell you who it is calling. It'll say incoming phone call from so and so. It'll read the number and the name of the individual if you have them stored as a contact. If you get an email, it'll also dictate the email to you. And that's a really good feature. But the thing that I don't like that they did is, if you notice up here, and I'm going to scroll it from right to left, if you see this, they've taken away the mobile data toggle. Now, in order to get that, I have to actually go into my settings and drill all the way down to get to it to activate it. So that was something that I didn't really care for. I wish they had kept that up there. Also, emails now. Now, before, you used to just see the email, the name, and the title. Now, especially if they're a Gmail, you'll see if the person has a picture for their contact icon, you'll see their picture. You see the name of the person, as well as the title of the email, as well as the first few lines of the email. And that's really nice. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind, this is Android 4.1.1, not 4.2. So you won't be able to pinch the screen up to actually read the whole email like you will in 4.2 update. But still, this is a pretty good feature. I like that. And also, if you have anything, any preferences or anything set up in Google Now, what it'll do is it'll also put cards in here. It'll show you updates as to the weather, any sports or any restaurants, however you have it set up, it'll start providing those cards in your notification drop-down tray. All right, also, in here in the drop-down, you'll notice that there's quick access to your settings menu, which is right here. Okay, and then here's our setting. Now in settings, you'll notice that there's a few new icons here. First of all, you see your home screen. You have home screen mode, and as you may or may not know, that's a setup where you can have a basic mode in easy mode. And actually, you can decide not to use either one of them. That's what I've done. I like my setup the way I have it. I didn't want to use basic and I didn't want to use easy. But you can pick whichever one you want and apply it and then go from there. All right, and that's really good too. You also have the new feature called blocking mode, where you can actually set your phone up to block incoming phone calls, notifications, any noises or anything like that while you're sleeping. You can actually state in there the length of time. Say, for instance, if you don't want to be bothered between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., you can set that in there, and those notifications won't bother you. So that's a really good feature, also similar to the one that they have on the iPhone. All right, also in your settings, if you scroll all the way down here close to the bottom, you'll notice that there's a feature called accounts. So now it lists all of your email accounts that you have in there. It lists the basic email that's on the phone. If you have your account for Facebook set up on here, it has that. Your Google account, Samsung account, and any other email clients that you have. So it's nice to be able to access those settings and features right here in the settings. Now the next good feature that I like on here is that when you go into emails, and this particular feature that I'm getting ready to show you, actually it only works on Gmail. I haven't been able to get it to work on Yahoo Mail or anything else. But if you go into your emails on Gmail, I don't know how well you, okay, there it is. You can see whatever emails that you have. Say, for instance, if you finish reading an email and you're ready to delete it, you can just simply swipe it away. All right, you see it's gone now. So that's good. You don't have to worry about long pressing it and pressing delete 2 or 3 steps. You can just one step delete the email and it's gone. All right, and that's a really good feature. All right, another thing I noticed is that on the keyboard, well, let's go back into the email here for a second. And say, for instance, if I want to compose an email, the swipe features, you already know that the Samsung keyboard had swipe features built in it, but it's even more accurate now, I've noticed, and the line that you get moving between the characters is actually a lot thicker. I don't know if you can see that, but it's thicker, and the entire interface is more accurate, so you don't have to worry about making as many mistakes. Now, you're still going to make mistakes. This is not a perfect system, but it's not as error prone as it was before, and I really like that. All right, the next feature is something that was already available on the Galaxy S3, and that's Android Beam. All right, and like I said, on the Galaxy S3, we already had it. On here, it's called SBeam, and that's a feature where you can take photos, files, music playlists, and you can put two phones together and transfer the data. Well, now that feature is available that came with the Jellybean update. So now any phone that you have that's NFC equipped, you can transfer that information back and forth. And that's good because not everybody has a Galaxy S3. So you can share that information with your friends even though they may not have an S3, as long as their phone is NFC equipped. You have to remember that. All right. The next thing that I saw in here, and that's kind of going into the camera. Now, on the Galaxy S3, you had voice commands where you can actually go in and program certain words for your phone to take the picture, such as smile or cheese or something like that. And you see here it's already taking a picture because it heard me say that. But the improvement that Jellybean makes is that you no longer have to go in and program these words in. You can just speak it. As you can see, it says here, there's a little message on the screen telling you that you can actually take pictures by doing that. So if I just hold it like this, smile. All right, it worked that time. Cheese. Okay, so it just took a picture of me. But you no longer have to program those in. You can just simply speak those commands. And that's good. That saves you the feature of having to drill down through several different menus and then speak certain commands in order for the phone to hear you and then set it. Now you can just go in and speak it. That's great. We already talked about Android Beam. Another feature that I noticed is that there are smoother transitions between or within an app. And for example, I'll show you like the calendar. Now it used to be, if you did the calendar and you want to go, look from month to month, first of all, you had to use these two buttons up here that list the previous and the following month. So you see it's December now. If I wanted to look at November, I had to press the November button. But now I can just swipe back and there's November. That's a smoother transition that looks a whole lot better. When you swipe away here, it actually looked like December actually overlays November's. And then the same thing if I go forward with January. Now going back, that previous month overlays the month that you just left out of. So it's a really good feature. Another thing that I noticed with this phone when I bought it, I did the sync, and for some reason all of my events were not showing up in my calendar. But right after I did the Jellybean update yesterday and I synced, everything that I had scheduled in, events or appointments or whatever, popped up on my phone. I don't know if there was a glitch or if that's something that they worked out or whatever, but everything showed up here. So that feature is really nice that the transitions work like that. Another thing that I noticed is on Google Chrome. As you already know, you can have multiple windows open. So on this particular screen, I've got two uh, tiles open. I've got Amazon and I've got Samsung. So if you look here, you see the Samsung window. If I swipe down, you see both of them. And then if I want to just look at Amazon, I just tap it and it goes full screen. And then if I want to come back to showing both of them, I just tap the number icon up here in the left hand corner. And then to go to Samsung, I just tap it and it goes full screen. That is a really nice feature right there. So you can have as many windows as you want open, as many tiles open, and you can go back and forth by simply pressing that number button in the upper right. Well, I said left before, but it's actually the right hand corner. You press that and it shows all your open windows and you go to whichever one you want to. Alright, next feature that I noticed here is going back. If you notice your music player, it now has a shuffle feature. Before it didn't have the shuffle feature, at least on this screen. I'm not talking about opening it up. If you open it up, obviously there's a shuffle feature, but you don't have to even go that far now. You can do shuffle right from the home screen. Great look there. Alright, next thing, this wasn't too big of a deal with me, but I noticed S Voice now has a more natural sounding voice. It doesn't sound like, a robot's talking back to you. Let's give you a quick example. What is the weather forecast for today?
Clouds giving way to some sun today. The current temperature is 61 degrees.
Alright, so you hear that sounds a little bit more natural. Doesn't sound as choppy as it had been before. So that's a result of the update. That actually sounds pretty good. Now another thing that was updated, I haven't tried it and I really at this point don't plan to, but for those of you that actually use the facial recognition unlock, that has received an update so that there was a risk before where people could actually use a picture instead of the actual face. If your phone was stolen or misplaced or whatever and somebody had a picture of you, they could just put the picture in front of the camera and it would open it up. Well, now there's been an update to that, to where the phone will actually, if it sees your face, it will pause for a few seconds to give you time to blink. If you don't blink, I guess it won't open. Like I said, I haven't tried that feature, and right now that's not something that I'm planning to do. I'm not using facial recognition to unlock my phone, but still, I think that's a good feature. If it becomes a little bit more secure, then it's something I might consider doing in the future. All right, and the last update that I have is that Google Now. Everybody already knows about that, so let's go ahead and activate it. And for those of you that don't know where it is, this is something that I struggle with. I was wondering where in the world is Google Now? How do you download it or whatever? You access it by pressing Google Search. Well, that's one of the ways. There's another way, but you can just press Google search and it comes up. Now, it'll also show you, as you notice, it shows the weather here. It'll also show you information pertaining to different restaurants and things like that, like here. All right, it shows 3 restaurants that are nearby, and it shows you information on it. If you tap on one, it can actually go into navigation, start giving you directions, pull up information such as the phone number so you can call and make reservations. And it also talks to you and gives you basic information just like S Voice. So let's give it a try. What is the weather forecast for today?
Today's forecast for Hopewell is 70 degrees with a chance of showers.
Now that was the most natural sounding voice yet. That sounded even better than the update to S Voice. But anyway, like I said, these are the latest things that I found out about the Jellybean update. And initially, when you look at it, it didn't look like there was a lot of things changed. But when you have a few minutes or a little bit of time to mess around with it, go in, explore it for yourself, and find out things that you like, things that you don't like, and you'll find out that there's a lot of good stuff in here. All right, let me know what you guys think by leaving a comment down below, and thanks for watching. See you next time.